Professor Patsabila. I think, as the Dean has said, brief remarks basically put matters in perspective. And as the Dean has said, really, the objective here is to launch or to get stakeholders' views relating to the curriculum BSc in petroleum engineering. As the Dean has said, the School of Engineering has been trying to prepare this program for the last couple of months, and also give a little bit of highlight why this program, BSc Petroleum Engineering. Of course, it is as a result of pressure from the industry that we need to produce manpower in this aspect, which is really growing fast. But I would want to say some time ago, in about February this year, the Ministry of Energy invited our Institute of Nuclear Science Technology Director for a tour of Texas A&M in the US to go and find out the possibilities for a collaboration. That time, Mr. Maina Wines was interested more in nuclear science. Mr. Maina also belongs to the board of nuclear science in the Ministry of Energy. And therefore he was being invited to join staff in the Ministry of Energy to Texas A&M with a view of really trying to do collaboration on nuclear energy. But in the process, we also got involved and then said, of course, in that process, I think it is necessary probably to also bring on board the petroleum engineering. And when they went there, they were able to discuss with the faculty of Texas A&M, and they agreed that we could develop a curriculum that is collaborative between us and them and petroleum engineering. And they accorded, the Texas A&M gave the curriculum, which the School of Engineering has been worked together with that as a baseline and made a curriculum that we are going to discuss. Therefore, this curriculum, you can see here, is also industry-driven in the sense that, as you have heard, the Ministry of Energy is really driving that process. In addition to that, subsequently to that, after that meeting in Texas A&M with Mr. Maina and some members, some senior officers of the Ministry of Energy, an MOU was signed between the University of Nairobi and the Ministry of Energy. This MOU was really to bring on board this curriculum, that is BSc Petroleum Engineering, and also training for some staff. So in that MOU, we are mandated also to have this stakeholders workshop. We agree that we shall hold a stakeholders workshop to discuss this curriculum. And in addition to that, for MOU, there is funding for the equipment for the starting up of this program. And also, there is a component of training of masters and PhD students as for staff development to be trained. That is something we work between us, the Ministry of Energy, and Texas A&M. And the Texas A&M faculty would also be visiting the University of Nairobi, as agreed, to come and provide or give expertise in some of the areas of collaboration. I'm saying that for you to see the urgency in which we are really approaching this matter, because certainly of course, one would have expected the university to move a bit faster in this aspect, but because of some of the challenges that the university experiences in terms of funding and all that, and again, the university does not want to mount any programs that are just not demand-driven. And therefore, that is why I think we waited this long, before we could mount this program in BSc in Petroleum Engineering. And therefore, what is expected of us is that although we are talking about BSc in Petroleum Engineering, therefore you can imagine if you have to start students in first year, it will take like another 5 or 6 years before you produce the first graduate or graduates with BSc in Petroleum Engineering. The idea was to look at the curriculum. The curriculum of BSc Engineering, whether mechanical, electrical, or civil, is fairly broad such that you can start converting students at third year or fourth year maybe to end up with also BSc in petroleum engineering. I think that is the focus of our initiative. As you discuss this curriculum, it is important therefore to bear in mind that, because of course, when it's engineering, there is always the fundamentals of engineering that are form the basis of engineering before one start branching to the various disciplines or aspects of engineering. We therefore would expect that this discussion will culminate by the end of today. You clean up the curriculum, make sure that that's what you're going to be presented with. And I think the focus here would be as soon as possible we clear with it, and then it goes to the college academic board as soon as possible. I think we can call even one next week if we are ready for that. And then subsequently we launch this curriculum to the Senate. As a roadmap for approval of this curriculum, of course, as the Dean has said, we have also created the curriculum to the other stakeholders, and they will receive some comments. And also, we would also expect that, of course, the engineers board, and they are glad to note that Professor Ishara and Professor Mwangi, who are here, also are wearing another hat of the board, such that now, when we are through on our part, we would want this curriculum to be accredited by the board, such that the people we produce will not end up now, we will not end up with having challenges of the registration as engineers. Because when I did over the weekend of the Mombasa Polytechnic University College, they closed because the students are saying that they are being taught programs that the board has not approved. So we don't want to go that route. We would want to go a route whereby the program when we launch is also has a blessing of the regulator, who is the Engineers Registration Board. I also would want to say that when the University of Nairobi held its retreat in Naivasha a month ago, now, the college undertook to introduce this program. Therefore, this program also, college has a responsibility and duty to start it in the next near future. Of course, the school will decide when we want to have the program started. Logically, it would be better to start it in September. Obviously, you will have to go, after the Senate approves it, you will have to go and advertise for the students to come. And I think the way this program must be demand-driven. And therefore, what we are saying by that is that the students who are admitted to this program ideally should be able to pay the full cost of the program. Of course, that can be also discussed further, considering that where there are some cases whereby the government people want to sponsor some, like for example, the Ministry of Energy would want to sponsor some students. I think that they are welcome for that. The industry also, as has been said, is interested because the fact that they are fighting oil and gas. And I have attended a few meetings or conferences, either locally or outside, where the oil companies, either East Africa or worldwide, present their progress fighting the oil industry worldwide, whether East Africa or worldwide. And there has been always an emphasis of capacity building and training, particularly in the East African region. There is a serious need for capacity building in petroleum, oil and gas. And therefore, if we network appropriately, I do know that there's possibilities of getting also additional support from those farms that really are exploring gas and oil. For example, I was telling a meeting in South Africa where Talo was making a presentation. That time it had just found oil in Gamia 1 in Turkana. And they mentioned that they have the tune of about $500 million Kenya shillings at that time for training. And they send most of the staff for training abroad, because basically we have a program in the region for this kind of program in the region. And therefore, with those kind of background, it shows that this program can be supporting, and the industry is willing to really chip in. Just as the Ministry of Energy has given its first blessings. And in fact, the MOU between the Ministry of Energy and Nairobi, if it is well implemented, to the way the spirit of the MOU, I think it has the potential to support up to about 600 million Kenyan shillings, for this program. And therefore, that is positive. and its responsibility is upon us really to get out of our way and really collaborate and seek collaboration with the industry. I think while I was discussing BSc Petroleum Engineering, I have had, and in the case looking at the interest in the industry out there, we have now the Minister of Mining, and we have had real mining is also a very key aspect of this country in terms of new direction and new resources that are found. There's also mining, coal mining, there's titanium, iron ore, and I think we also have that as a responsibility as a university. As a premier university, we have a responsibility to really also champion in that direction, and therefore I would challenge the School of Engineering, once we finish on launch petroleum engineering, I think mining engineering and petroleum engineering are basically related one or the other. And I think we would expect the departments of mechanical engineering, civil engineering, and mining engineering to take a lead and also develop a curriculum with the industry again. And I think the idea here is, let's try to talk to the industry. It shows clear that there is potential for funding. So instead of you only concentrating on say, looking at money generating from Module 2, we are going to diversify out and now go to the big core business of the university, training manpower and research. Particularly the research that will produce results quickly. And results that will produce quickly now, it is where now the manpower is required. And the manpower is required now in the industry, in the petroleum, and also in mining. Of course, you also require engineers that we have been producing them in other fields, in roads, in water, in electricity, in the disciplines of mechanical engineering. But that does not mean we stop there. We also have to diversify. But again, we must not sleep on our arrows, because if we do, other universities are going to come and say they want to run this program, and you know they have not that capacity. The capacity for learning those kind of programs are really vested in the University of Njoroge. It has a staff, it has an infrastructure, and it has a maturity to do so. I think with those few remarks, I would want therefore to say that we wish you well in these deliberations of today. And as I say, the roadmap is by end of July, this curriculum must be within Senate, such that we get the blessing of the Senate, so that we can now start implementing this curriculum as soon as possible. I think with these 4 remarks, I wish to say those are my remarks. And I do hope, although we didn't hear many people from the industry as per se, we do hope that they will join us. I also would want to say that, indeed, the funding of this stakeholders workshop is also from the Ministry of Energy. The funds that we assigned was also part of this stakeholders workshop, was part of the funding of this. Then therefore, it is there. You can see there is possibility of good collaboration. But nevertheless, the Ministry of Energy on the mine also, because it comes from, he's also a director in the nuclear energy board. He can also take those sentiments to the Minister of Energy as part of the Minister of Energy as a director in that board. I think with those few remarks, I would wish you very nice deliberations, and I wish to stop here. Thank you.